Well, hello, friends. Welcome to a very special episode of the Shameless Era. I'm Lynsey Dalen.
I'm Justine Eno.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, then you can see this very special, beautiful bundle of joy that we are welcoming officially to the Shameless Era. What did we have, Justine?
We had a baby boy. Yeah. So Jet Gregory Eno was born Monday, June 17th at 11:34 p.m.
Yeah, and oh man.
In a blaze of glory.
In a blaze of glory, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
We have so much to share on this episode, and I kind of teased it a little bit on Instagram as just being such a special episode because I think that what a lot of people don't know about your experience having this baby is that I was there.
Yeah, and it was completely different than I anticipated, which, I mean, if you've ever given birth, it usually doesn't go as anticipated anyway. Like, a good birth plan is like no birth plan because your birth plan never works out. But yeah, my sister was supposed to be here because she was with me with Aspen, and she was just like the best sidekick. So I knew that having another natural home birth, that I wanted her there. But it just worked out. Like, she had to go home. She has her own responsibilities and her own kids. And then we ended up having to be in the hospital, and Lynsey came up just to bring Ty his computer because he had to work, and me Dairy Queen because I was hungry. And I needed my chicken fingers for sure. And she ended up just staying the whole day. She had plans to go pick up the girls from school and do all that, but Mike D stepped in and did that. And yeah, Lynn's was there the whole time, and I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. Looking back, it's something that happened that I didn't know I needed. And yeah,
it was the most beautiful experience of my life. And last week, after you had Jet, I listened to last week's podcast when you were still pregnant.
Yeah.
And we were talking about just your plan and you know what you envisioned for bringing this baby into the world, your birth room, all the affirmations. And your experience went exactly the opposite. Like literally exactly the opposite.
I think I jinxed it when I was like, I'm so grateful I get to say I experienced all types of birth. The universe was like, okay, well, I got one more for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it definitely went a lot different. I don't even know, it's kind of all blurry. So earlier that week, my midwife did a sweep, and I think I was like, what, 2 centimeters, a centimeter, like we knew stuff was gonna start. So I mowed the lawn.
Yeah, when I came over that day and you had just finished mowing the lawn, like for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah. And then Ty took me for like a quad ride in our back pasture, like really slow, but just like, trying to wiggle things out. And then yeah, I think it would have been Sunday in the middle of the night. So Monday early morning. I woke up, and I guess I will say, I should have said this before, it could be a trigger warning for anyone listening. For anyone who may have experienced this, it was really scary, but everything is great. So everyone's happy and healthy. But I woke up and I had a lot of bleeding, like not normal amount of bleeding. But it wasn't my water that had broke. So I knew like something was wrong. So we called my midwives, and it was so grateful my sister was still staying over. So she took my girls, and I didn't have to worry about them. And we went to the hospital, and baby was okay. So as soon as we knew baby was okay, we were like, okay, like we can now talk about our options. And yeah, just with my past history, my midwife was like, you know what, we're gonna have to transfer over the care, just put you in the hospital, it's the safest place. So they let us go home and shower and eat some breakfast, and went back, and then the day began. And yeah, it was an induced labor. It was laughing gas and an epidural. Like laughing gas saved my ass, literally.
It's the best, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't let that tube go at all. As soon as they handed it to me, it was like my lifeline. And yeah, Lynn's was there the whole time. It wasn't bad until it got bad. And she got it all on video.
Yeah, girlfriend, you were such a warrior throughout that whole day. And when I came up for lunch there, to be honest, when Ty messaged me and said, hey, can you just bring me my laptop and some chicken fingies? Like I had already let them know that I was on high alert, whatever you guys need, but I was just up for the girls. Like I thought I was just going to be fun auntie for a couple days while you guys were busy having a baby. But I was really happy to have the excuse to come up to the hospital, to be honest, and just see you and check on you, but as soon as I got there, you had been hit with some pretty big options as far as how to move forward, and one of those was potentially a C-section, which you've had before, so you knew what the recovery from that would look like, but you were 41 weeks and like they were worried about you, and you know, you just hear those kind of like nightmare induction stories that.
Well, and I was induced with Aria.
Exactly,
So I felt the Pitocin labor and I'm like, no thanks. Like, I would rather do an unmedicated, natural, not induced birth 1,000 times before an induced labor. It's just, and not to scare any of you that may be pregnant. It's just a harder labor. It's faster, it's harder, it's just a freight train instead of like a slower moving train, maybe. Some women don't experience that though. So that was just my experience, I guess. But yeah, it was rough. And I actually, so we were faced with these options. And since my care was transferred, the OB on call, I won't name him, but he was, if you want to know, I'll reach out to me personally and I'll say it, but he was amazing. And I was scared at first because I'm going to have a biased a little bit and say lots of OBs are like, especially with my history, are like, let's just put her in for a C-section. Like, no, it's fine. Like, you know, it's the easiest thing for everybody kind of thing. And don't really give you an option. Whereas this OB on call that day could see that I needed some time to process my options, to call my midwife, to like, you know, just have conversations with Lynsey and with Tyler that I needed to have. So he was like, take some time, take 30 minutes, take 3 hours, like, just let me know when you're ready. So, yeah, I came back with some options and yeah, he was right on board the whole time to let me try. So,
and just really so supportive of every thought you had, every question you had. You know, we were cruising around, you called your midwife and she assured you, you know,
she just said, try it.
Exactly.
There's like, if you're going to end up in a C-section anyway, you might as well try it. And if you pull the plug, like, you'll be in that OR room in 20 minutes.
Exactly.
So like, just try, because you never know what can happen. And being on the other side now and healing from a natural birth versus a cesarean, I'm so thankful I tried and we went through with it. Because it's a lot easier to heal.
Well, I'll admit, I was really scared for you that day because you were, like I said, a week overdue already at that point. You were exhausted.
So tired.
Mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. You know, my heart was just breaking every time you'd have a contraction. And when you asked me what I thought, I didn't even want to say it because everything inside of me.
Okay, I got back up.
Oh no, I got it.
Oh, Auntie's on it.
All right. No hair on it. Everything inside of me was screaming the safe route of the C-section, but at the same time knowing that the recovery of that would be a nightmare.
Well, I literally had to look at Tyler and be like, okay, are you prepared for 2 weeks off? And I don't mean like off in your books. I mean like right in the house. Yeah, like wiping my butt for 2 weeks. Like, I mean, maybe not that extreme, but like, I can't pick up our toddler. I can't do stairs. I can't pick up him because he's massive. Like, this all, I can't go get groceries. I can't, like, all these things if I had a C-section. So what is it?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. So it, you know, it means like you can't go over to the shop where, you know, or the content cave and work. It means you have to be here. And, realistically in my husband's life, that's not an option.
Right.
So that kind of gave me a little bit more motivation to be like, all right, you might as well at least try, knowing what that recovery would look like. But yeah, it felt safe. That option did feel so safe and just so sure in that.
No, it's just a guarantee of like, hey, in an hour your baby will be in your arms. Whereas just kind of continuing to play that waiting game at that point when you were trying to make this decision, you really hadn't started dilating much. Like, I think you were like
I was 3 centimeters.
Something like that. And so it was hard to know, well, how much longer is this going to go on for?
Totally.
And you were just so exhausted. But I was so proud of you for making that decision to just try. And I know it was your midwife that was really able to kind of give you that strength of, hey, just try. You got this. Exactly. And yeah, what time was it? Like, you did so awesome with the gas all afternoon through contractions. I now know how freakishly strong you are. Me and Ty were joking about just like doing hand workouts because like she'd go through a contraction like a warrior, but our hands would come out of it just like doing broken.
Bruised. Yeah, I think it was like 2 o'clock. They broke my water and started the Pitocin.
Oh, also, if you've never seen somebody have their water broken before, wow, is that
I also had a condition through this pregnancy called and I might pronounce it a little wrong, polyhydramnios. And it's where you have too much amniotic fluid. So when they broke my water, like oh, thanks, Auntie, there was an excess of fluid. So, yeah, Lynsey got like the Niagara Falls.
I literally warned Ty right before. I was like, dude, cover your laptop, put your laptop because you've been working and, but yeah, like they broke your water and then it seemed like the contractions started coming after that
and yeah, and since I had a C-section previously, I guess they have to do the drip quite slow.
Yeah.
Like in increments. So that was actually kind of nice because I knew the laughing gas was working, but it started to get to a point where it was barely working. Like it was still not being tolerable with the laughing gas. And then I was like, epidural now. And that was its own thing. And it only worked on half of the side of my body.
I got kicked out of the room for the epidural and I just like sat outside listening and it was just awful. I mean, I don't remember my epidural being that way. This was like 12 years ago, but like, I always thought it was a pretty quick and easy thing, but that took quite a while. Yeah, so sounded excruciating.
The anesthesiologist suggested I go get my spine looked at, which like it's nothing of like concern. But since it only froze half my body, and we had issues with my epidural with Aria too. So he's like, there might be something up, and the freezing didn't work. So I was like feeling the poke of the epidural going. Yeah, and then you're supposed to like have a curved spine, but as he's poking the like epidural in, I could feel it. So I was instinctively like clenching forward, and he's like, you need to round your back. But then again, this OB who's amazing comes out of nowhere and he's like holding my other hand with Tyler and like pep talking me in the corner. And like stellar dude. Like I can't say enough about like if you're in Grand Prairie and looking for an obstetrician, please reach out because I'll give you his name. And he was top notch. I mean, I go for the midwives, that's my route, but if I had to choose an OB, he would for sure hands down be my choice. I
mean, it just gets cooler from there between like the midwife and OB relationship because you got your epidural, it was just before 9 and then it was.
We went from like 7 centimeters to 10 centimeters in like 0 seconds.
Oh, well, so fast. And so I think the nurses said they called your midwife, it was just after 10 and she got there like 10:30.
I only pushed for a half hour.
You started pushing at 11. But what was super cool that I thought was really amazing to see was that your midwife got there and the OB was so supportive and happy to step aside and let her deliver the baby. And he provided support.
And he came up and like was pushing my head down to my chest with every contraction. He was like,
well, it was just so impressive to see that he was literally doing everything in your best interest, in your best care. He knew you were comfortable with her. I think they had worked together before, but yeah, it was just like there was no energy of like, well, I'm the doctor here.
There was no ego.
No ego.
No, in that
room. Bring this baby into the world safely. And yeah, shit got real once you started pushing at 11. So
yeah, and we only pushed for like 35 minutes, really. Like that was quick, I guess, for the most part. Hindsight, super grateful I could feel half the side of my body because I was like, I got pushed, guys. So yeah, that was great. And I mean, Lynsey, after like we're talking about it, she's like, his head came out and it was purple and I didn't know what to say to him. Yeah, like, I mean, the video is graphic. Like Aspen's video is like really beautiful. And so is Jet's, but Jet's has a lot more graphic detail.
Well, it's like the experience for me is like nothing I could have ever imagined because first and foremost, I never thought I was going to be there when she was delivering this child. I thought like I said, that I would have Aria just be supportive with the nanny and Aspen and like just help out. And it just happened that day that I showed up at a time when you kind of needed a safe space and maybe just some comic relief, little extra love.
So good because Tyler's so comfortable with you.
Yeah, we're
in the first part like that. So that wasn't awkward. Excuse me. And she was holding my hand through like 90% of the contractions because I she would like know, right? I would like,
When they're
we'd be talking and then she just like could tell in the change of my voice or the weird look on my face, and like instantly she's up off where she was sitting and like right next to the bed holding my hand, and her entire still just having a conversation and I'm just breathing, and it was great.
It kind of made it like a fun way to spend the day if you gotta just kill time like that, just three best friends hanging out, like waiting
have
for
a
a
good
baby.
chat.
But when you were about to start pushing, we had talked, you know, like obviously I've seen Aspen's birth video and I
Yes.
know how beautiful it is and how special it is to Justine. And I had asked her that afternoon, well, do you want me to film it? And she had said, yeah, probably. But then right before she started pushing, I looked at you and I said, do you want me to film this?
Oh, I don't remember that.
No, and I needed you to say yes or no in that moment. That had to be black
Right.
or white, because I can't take it back. I can't redo it. Like,
Totally.
this is, you have
Or you
to
can't,
decide.
like, yeah, of
I can't take the initiative.
Yeah.
It's either you want this or you don't. And she said, yes,
course I do.
distinctly,
Yeah.
yes. And so with every contraction, I'm over the midwife's shoulder with my cell phone, literally getting the most explicit view of a child coming into the world that you can possibly get. And it was so beautiful. It was mesmerizing. It was educational. It was life-changing. I mean, obviously I've had two children myself, both were natural births, but you never see it from that perspective. You have no idea what you're going through in the moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like I now
That's why I love the video, because it's like something to look back on and be like, holy shit, I did that.
Totally.
Like, yeah, because it's not, I don't know what word I'm looking for. It's yeah, it's hard to believe there. I'll just say that it's hard to believe that our bodies can do that and like go through that until you actually see your body do it and you're like, oh,
it is literally incredible. And I mean, now we're on a whole other wife level status. Like, we actually joked that day in the hospital, Ty ran out to just get some snacks and Slurpees for us, and yeah, he went got taco time. But we were like, wouldn't it be funny if Ty came back and we just had a priest in the room like performing a ceremony for us? Because we're wiped up and imprinted now. But yeah, I mean, I took a video of every time you were pushing because I never knew which one was gonna be the one. And it was funny when I was walking out that night after baby was here and we knew everything was kind of okay at that point. One of the nurses said to me quite sternly, actually, excuse me, did she ask you to film that? And I'm like, yeah, pretty sure I wasn't just live streaming in there, girlfriend. Right?
Yeah, it's on our vlog.
Oh, but I went home that night, I sat on my deck, I bawled my eyes out in pure joy. I watched the video because I had told myself, I was like, I'm gonna watch this one time and then I'm gonna airdrop it to Justine and never watch it again. But it was, the best part is when he comes out and Ty says it's a boy, and it's like he's nodding his head like he knew the whole time. And it's like I wanted him to be so much more excited, but I think he just honestly knew.
And I think he was in shock.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay,
But
really.
then you, babe, oh,
yeah.
the second jet, your baby boy, like,
and I was like, really,
it's a boy,
Yeah.
and he goes on your chest, and I got the, you know, the clip of him and you, and like, it is literally the most special moment of life, and I can't believe I was there. So.
Yeah, it was absolutely precious. And then because I had so much fluid, when he was coming out, he inhaled some of it, so he wasn't breathing. So they were like rubbing him really hard on my chest. And we had this moment of like, oh my God, we have our boy. And it was like so exciting. But then it was like, oh, there might be something wrong. And then my panic started to set in. Then he cried and latched, and we were like, oh, okay, everything's good. And then my placenta didn't come. And this has been like a massive fear of mine for like, even since being pregnant with Aspen. I think that was my biggest fear in a home birth, was having issues with my placenta. And it's just because it's so quick and it's life-threatening and it's scary. So yeah, my midwife tried, and we tried to get it out, and that didn't work. So the OB had to come in and reach all the way up there and pull it out, and then do it again to make sure there's some left, and he didn't want obviously an infection or a second hemorrhage. So we had to do that twice, and I will say without a doubt, that was worse than child labor. But necessary, but traumatic, right? Like, it's one of those things that you know it needed to happen. And my midwife was right there being like, this is what we need to do. Like, it was really reassuring to have everyone in that room being like, this is awful. Like, this is going to be horrendous, but this is what we have to do. So they pushed some fentanyl, thank gosh, and did it again. And everything was okay. So, me and baby were okay. So I'm grateful for everything the way it happened, because it needed to happen, and so grateful that we ended up being in the hospital, because if that placenta thing would have happened in the house, I think we still would have been okay, but it just would have been a lot more traumatic of like calling an ambulance and putting me in an ambulance, and Tyler trying to load Jet in a car seat and follow the ambulance. Like, it just would have been a lot more chaotic. So and then that's it. Like,
it became pretty clear pretty fast on Monday that you were where you needed to be once you were in the hospital. And the Grand Prairie Hospital here is brand new. It's only been open for a few years. It's absolutely stunning. This thing took well over a decade to build, but it was worth it. Like, and the maternity rooms are incredible.
You stay in the whole room.
You have everything you need right there. That's just like state of the art, everything. And so it was just like, at 41 weeks already, you were so exhausted. I just, like, as soon as you were in that hospital, I knew that you were where you needed to be, no matter what was about to happen. And, that whole thing with the placenta, like, you're right, that is a really scary situation to be dealing with, and you did lose a lot of blood. And
I lost about 1 liter of blood. So that's where the recovery is coming in, is just like, and it wasn't enough to need a transfusion. And I didn't want one. So we're just rebuilding naturally with iron and supplements and stuff, but, feeling super tired, just like low energy, lightheaded, those sorts of things. So that's a little bit different of a recovery that I didn't expect, but I'm here and I'm good, and baby's good. So,
well, and all stuff that is just gonna take some time to get back. It's not impossible by any means. It's totally doable. It's just gonna take time and attention to your body and love and honoring yourself and what you need. I mean, you just brought your 3rd child into the world, and for anybody who has multiples, like, that it gets more and more exhausting, because there is now one person that needs all of you, while there are still 2 little girls that need their mom, and a husband that needs his wife, and a wife that needs her wife. And
I mean, Aria has adjusted so beautifully this time, and not that she didn't with Aspen. But when we had Aspen, Aria actually got a really bad cold, like, I think a couple days after Aspen was born. So then I was like, you can't hold her, you can't, touch her, just because I couldn't get Aspen sick. So that was a little bit different. And then I feel like that kind of made some jealousy, but Aria was great with Aspen, but when she met Jet,
oh my God, that was so cute.
She just melted. And then she, thankfully Lynsey took Aria for an extra night, 2 nights.
Yeah, Mike had picked up the girls on Monday from school, because I was planning on being there, and he just stepped into rad dad mode. Uncle Mike D. So by the time I got home from the hospital, obviously on Monday night, was late. The girls were already in bed, but then the next morning I woke them up for school and told Aria that you had had the baby, but we didn't tell her if it was a boy or a girl. And so it was so hard to not say anything that morning, but we shipped my kids off to school, and I kept Aria home with me for an hour. I got ready. We went and picked up McDonald's breakfast, and on our way up for her to meet her new baby, she was telling me, Auntie, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. She was so just anxious that morning. And because I hadn't told her what it was either. But she was so adorable and so proud to meet her baby brother.
And she's been so helpful. So great. She just wants to hold him all the time when he's sleeping. She'll be like, can I hold him? And she'll just sit on the couch and hold him for like 45 minutes.
That's awesome.
She's super helpful, and it's actually really cool, because I've noticed her and Aspen bonding a lot more too. So I'll go and Aspen will be playing in Aria's room, and they're getting a little bit closer, I think, because I'm busy. So but it's been an adjustment. if anyone has met my little Aspen, she's kind of a tornado.
Who's now officially the middle child, and this auntie knows all about middle child energy. So.
Yeah, she's a little tornado. So, but she has been surprisingly well with him in being gentle. He hasn't had a toy chucked at his head yet.
Yeah.
So we're like, we're good.
Doing
You know,
good so
we're
far.
doing good. And she's curious about him. If we're like changing his bum, she'll get a stool and come and watch,
Aw.
but not touch. So
Yeah.
she's doing really good. And just like, yeah, so we're just adjusting to life.
Well, this is the perfect time to adjust. It's summer now, the kids are out of school.
Yeah.
I said to Mike the other day, because yeah, we had Aria on Monday, Tuesday last week, then we picked her up Thursday night to go for the bike ride. And like, we're just gonna take her everywhere with us this summer because she's older than her siblings, you know, like if we're doing something fun like a bike ride, she's always gonna come with us because we're just going out and it's just helpful. Whereas like Aspen's only 2.
Yeah.
Jet's a week old. Like the difference for the kids is so different that like we're pumped to hang out with Aria this summer. She's like my little third take along child. She just comes everywhere we go and it's awesome.
Well, and it's such a blessing for me because it weighs on me, right? Like I see her as a 9-year-old girl and I'm stuck in toddler baby right now. And I want to take her to go on the fun bike rides. And, you know, I want to do those things with her, but unfortunately, we just can't all the time. It's just not in our routine because it just, there's no time for it right now, but she shouldn't have to miss out just because our lives have got a little more chaotic. So it's such a blessing that she just feels like a part of your family and can still go and have fun.
Well, and we love her like a part of our family and we're literally 2 seconds down the road. It's so easy to just whip in, whip out, drop off, pick up. I really do think we're gonna have a beautiful summer of just deck hangs with the kids and just chilling out and enjoying this time with these little babies. Like Jet is so cool and he's just gonna get cooler and cooler as time goes on. And you're gonna feel better and better as time goes on.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get some sleep someday, so.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for me to believe I still have a little boy.
I know.
Sometimes I call him a girl because I'm just
I gotta admit it, I was legit so convinced it was a girl. And I'm not often very wrong on these things.
No,
like I typically predict pretty good, but yeah, it was just this specialist moment to be
we
there.
had to go buy clothes.
Yeah.
Because Tyler was like, these are not gender neutral outfits. These are girl outfits.
Yeah.
And I was like,
can we talk about Tyler's outfit in the delivery room? You want to tell everybody what he was wearing?
He was wearing a white Lululemon sweater and like white Lacoste shoes.
And like beige like pants. I was just like, are you going golfing after this, dude?
Well, he probably would have loved to. No, his sweater did get stained for sure. I tried to get it out and I got like the spots I seen out and then he was wearing it the other day and like the whole sleeve had like a yellow stain and I was like
just which bodily fluid
I think I missed a spot. Yeah, so well, and so Tyler has never been one, like especially even when we had Aspen, that would have been the time for him to witness a childbirth. He's never wanted to look, right? Like, and I don't think most men do, and it's okay if you do, but he didn't ever want to see his playground, right? Like that, as we say it. So, but unfortunately he had to this time because he was like a stirrup while I was pushing. And all he said after was, I am now convinced we are the aliens. So yeah, but no, it was all so great. I was surrounded, the nurses were fantastic.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah, it was for what it was, like how the events laid out, it was a beautiful experience, even though there was some really unexpected turns.
Well, it really was just the exact opposite of what you had been planning for. And to have listened to that podcast episode last week where you're talking about, with the plan and we had recorded that like 2 weeks before you had Jet, and we did that intentionally just to give you some time and space. And so yeah, to listen to it back and I'm like, it went nothing like that, but it was still, at least from my perspective, a really cool, beautiful experience. And it was a fun day, if anything, of just hanging out all together. And I mean, I know you were having contractions the whole time, but I was just excited to be there with you and helping you through it. And you said to me a few different times, it was like 10 o'clock and you're like, you don't have to stay. I know it's getting late. And I'm like, girlfriend, I've been here for 10 hours. I am not tapping out now.
Right before the moment.
I don't care if this goes on till 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not
here
going anywhere.
I'm in it now.
Mikey's got it. Like, he knows what I'm up to and this is important. So, thank you for letting me be there.
Oh, you don't have, I'm so grateful.
It wasn't like I called and asked if I could come and stay. It just.
It
worked out
honestly
that
was
way,
the universe just doing its thing.
Totally.
And knowing that, no, oh, okay, I'm gonna pass him to Auntie because I'm gonna wear him because he's gonna start crying. But yeah, it was the universe being like, this is, oh, that probably got loud, listeners, sorry. This is what you need. And yeah, because I mean, it takes a village.
Well, and to be honest, it's just like, I am really comfortable in hospitals. I'm good in a crisis. I typically know how to refrain from getting too worked up. And actually, even the whole time we were in the hospital, I've never been so highly conscious of what I was saying to you. Because I didn't want to say the wrong thing. I didn't want to provide an opinion that, could be the wrong one in the wrong moment. And like, even when his head came out, like it was blue and I was instantly like scared and nervous. And then they started pulling him and his cord was like wrapped around his chest, not his neck, but just his chest. And it was quite tight. And all I heard the midwife say is, we need to clamp and cut. And instantly I thought they were about to give you an episiotomy. And I had one. It's a nightmare, literally a nightmare. And so everything inside of me just screamed, no, but I didn't say it out. And like, because it's not my place, right? Like, all I was there to do was provide moral support and love and encouragement and.
Future reference, a midwife would more than likely never do an episiotomy.
No, that's right. I didn't know that though. You had told me that after.
Yeah, I did. But it's definitely, I think midwives are definitely across the board in agreement of like, it's much better to tear
naturally.
than get cut. So, but my midwives, like Lynsey was like, Deanna was amazing. She was like massaging down there. And I'm like, they're absolutely fantastic in taking care of our bodies.
Just a pro.
And so, I didn't tear at all. And zero tearing. So no stitches and so I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And I'm really happy I could share that experience with you. And like I said, like there's no going back now. You've seen too much of me.
No, exactly. Well, she messaged me like 3 days later and she's like, are you mad at me? And I'm like, what? Why would you think I'm mad at you? And this was just overtired, hormonal, day 3 kind of stuff, classic. And you're like, I just feel like I'm imprinted on you now and I'm extra sensitive. And I'm like, I need them. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's like, if I don't see you in a day now, I'm like,
what's wrong?
What's wrong? What happened in my day? What's going on here?
Yeah. What's missing?
Right?
Yeah.
I got him.
You got him? Yeah. We're pro at this.
I know you are, mama.
This is lifesaver. Actually.
I was never a baby wearer.
Me neither. But
no, but he
goes right to sleep.
Oh, awesome.
And then I just hang out with him in here for like 5 or 10 minutes and I transfer him to his little bed and he just sleeps.
He's just good to go.
Yeah. Little man.
I feel like I wish I wore my babies more just for like the closeness of it, but like I was kind of always
and it was never a trending thing, I don't think, because I don't think it was really a thing when I had Arya either. It was like the hard carriers.
Well, and to be honest, it was like kind of right when like the Mama Roo came out and that was like the big deal. And Sophia loved it, Maisie loved it. I remember we came home from the hospital with Maisie. We were so exhausted. We put her down in the Mama Roo in our bedroom and fell asleep in bed. Woke up 8 hours later. 8 hours later, Maisie hadn't made a peep. I will never forget my heart stopping. I jumped across the bed, just like, are you still breathing? And thankfully she was fine, but like, it just, wow, it's such a crazy experience. Yeah, I mean, I can't say I like missed the like, I'm in the middle of my sleep and wake up and be like, oh my gosh, is he breathing? And then you have to stare at them for like a good minute because you don't want to touch them in case they're still alive, because then it'll wake them up, heaven forbid, right? You have to be like, and then they like, and you're like, okay, good, they're good, okay, they're good, yeah, it's fine.
But yeah, I mean, that all goes away, you know.
Well, it's
soon.
amazing how quickly you forget so much of the baby stages. Like, you know, a year from now, you're gonna hold somebody's newborn and be like, oh my God, I forgot what this was like. And like even last weekend, I had Candace's kids for the day, Timber and Pfeiffer,
And
and
Piper probably felt so big.
Pfeiffer felt so big, but also at the same time, it was like having them, they're 2.5 and 1.5. And that is a whole other pace for me. Like right now, as we're recording this, my girls are at home hanging out by themselves, being awesome. And I'm in this new era of being able to do that. But Timber and Pfeiffer are so busy, and Pfeiffer was just out of sorts. She was playing strange with me that day, and I just couldn't figure out what was going on with her. So I fought with her for a good 15 minutes in my room until I got her down for a nap. But then I pulled the classic like slink out of the room, like don't stand up, don't make a
Don't
sound,
step on the
don't
creaky
let the
board.
board crack, like literally just crawling. And I'm like, oh my God, the amount of times I used to have to do that with Sophia.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
just that was the normal at the time. And it feels like with having kids, your normal changes constantly.
all the time.
Totally.
There is no normal.
No, and just when you think you've got it figured out, they change,
They do.
need something else from you.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's an ongoing thing.
One thing I'd love for you to just touch on quickly is in that last episode, we did talk quite a bit about your battle with postpartum depression with Aspen. So how are you feeling? Honest.
Yeah, not great,
Yeah.
but that's okay. It's like to be expected. I was saying to my stepmom this morning, I know it's survivable. And I think that's something that I didn't always know with Aspen. That it was survivable. Sometimes I felt like it was never gonna let up. Whereas this time I know it will. Like I know it'll pass. And it's like, it's just so goddamn tough, like the hormone fluctuations and the things that like make you cry that shouldn't make you cry, and then the things that should make you cry make you like scream. You know, it's just like this whole different thing, and it's this like, how do I like fit another one in? Like, cause there's already like so much time taken. It's like, it's just this like adjusting, and so much of it falls on the mom. So much. And so, it's heavy, man. It's super, super heavy, but I feel so loved and so supported and so heard by my friends and my family, and Tyler's trying his best to understand it. And, that's all I can ask for, right? And I definitely learned my own lesson through Aspen is like, talk about it and just, it's okay. Like, I was really open and honest with Lynsey today, and I just like, it's hard to have those open and honest conversations, but sometimes like that's all we can do.
Well, and to be honest, babe, that was the first thing I said to you was thank you for being honest.
Oh,
with me,
yeah.
because as much as I know you inside and out now,
Literally.
I can't read your mind. And so it's like, I can certainly try and be accommodating and supportive and predict what you might need, but I mean, sometimes that black and white, I need this is just the best thing you can do. And you should never care how blunt or direct it sounds.
Yeah.
Because the more clarity you can give, the better the response will be.
Yeah,
So.
no, I mean, we'll figure it out. And I know that there's another side, right? Like, and I know it does, and I know it passes. It's just learning the new chaos, right?
Yeah.
Like it is what it is, kind of, you know, it's one of those things that, I'm leaning into as much as I can, and I know fairly confidently, like 99.99% that he's my last baby. And I just say that because last time I said, oh, you know, Aspen's my last for sure, and then this happened. So I'm like never gonna say ever, never again. Like, it's just not a thing. I understand the universe, how it works now. But so I'm soaking in the moment. The night breastfeeding, I've definitely taken a little bit different mindset to it this time of like, okay, buddy, this is our time. You know, like we can sit and stare at each other and cuddle and be close and bond. And this is our quiet time where there's no chaos. It's just me and you, and let's like love each other instead of like, oh, I am so angry, I'm up right now. Like, you know, and all of those things. I think that comes with time in being a mom, and I think it comes with knowing it's your last, because you just want to take it all in, because you do know, like, it has that duality, right? Of like, this sucks, this is awful, this is shitty, I'm not sleeping, I don't want to be in this space anymore. But you also know that it goes by so fast. And I have a 9-year-old that I would kill to put in this wrap right now and like snuggle her in and just take it back for a day where she was a newborn and I could smell her head and, all those things. So I really am just trying to, like, in the moments of feeling like I'm drowning, anxiety and suffocating, I'm just trying to lean into it and remember that I'll wish that day back one day and just kind of sit in it a little bit more instead of wishing myself out of it. And I find that definitely helps, because I'm like, well, you're already in it, girlfriend. So
You're so in it, babe. You really are. You're so in it, and you have the right mindset of just leaning into it, being in it, soaking up those moments. They're so special and they're so different with each child. And this is just such a different adjustment for you than when you had Aspen. We've talked about this before, just because of that age gap. Like, when you had Aspen, Arya would get up and go to school every day, and you would have time.
Arya can make her own sandwich.
She can make her own sandwich. She can wipe her own bum. She can, she'll sleep through the whole night. Whereas, like, you got a toddler at home and a newborn baby, and it really is that huge adjustment of now what's our new normal. And I mean, I'm gonna check on you every single day, whether you text me back or not. If you don't text me back, I'm just gonna show up. She knows this.
I do.
But I know you're gonna get through this, and I know that as long as, you just keep letting me know how you're feeling, like, we're gonna work through this together, because once you're on the other side of just the crazy hormones and the feeling of just this massive new adjustment in life, a new normal will settle in.
Oh yeah, and it's gonna be beautiful.
Totally.
And I can't wait. Like, I can't wait to see what the next couple of years, how they unfold, and how our family takes shape, and how we all, like, figure each other out, and the bonds and the relationships. I'm so excited. I just know I have to go through this, like, really foggy period to get to that side. And there's going to be really great days, and there has been really great days, and there's going to be some really shitty days, and there has been so far too, right? But it's okay. Like, I feel really supported, obviously, by Lynsey and a few of their friends that I have here. And my husband's great. He's trying his best to juggle a business and 3 kids and a wife. Like, we talk a lot about the duality of stuff, and that's huge for me in my marriage right now. Is like, if you are an entrepreneur or married to one, you understand that business is your income. So if you stop, your income stops.
You're the default parent, he's the default provider, and those are roles that just are what they are, and acknowledging them, I think, helps in the sense of, like, okay, he does have to go to work, obviously, he's got a business to run. But at the same time, I think that you're so much more established in who you are now coming out of this pregnancy than maybe you were with Aspen. You had just moved here.
It was fresh.
Like, you were just still figuring out so much about how you exist in Grand Prairie. And since having Aspen, you stepped back into a much larger role in the business with Ty, and been able to really help build the image and the profile of Onsite in the Peace region. We've done the podcast. Like, you have things that are yours, for sure, and still so much to look forward to. Like, we got so many cool plans on the sketch that it's gonna be awesome.
No, it's great. I just need to take some time to slow down for a little while, and then, but I know all of those things are waiting. You know what I mean? Like, I know that, I won't be at the next industry night, and like, these things, like, I'm not necessarily there, but they're still going, which is amazing. We want them to keep going, but they're not going anywhere, and I will go back. Like, it's still waiting for me when I'm ready, and
they're your things. They're your things that you've created, and thankfully you created them with a team that's able to swoop in and say, hey, we got this. Take your time, girlfriend. Like, I got industry night on lock. I love hosting industry night. I miss Justine every single
I
night
know.
she's not there, but at the same time, I just feel
Rock it
so proud to represent on-site and everything that we're doing with industry night. And so I knew going into this that there was gonna be some months while you were having baby that like they just weren't gonna be there. And that's okay because this is our village. This is
Totally.
our life that we're building together, you know, and I think it's fair to mention to the listeners that you have mentioned a few weeks off
Yeah.
from the podcast.
If you caught that. No, yeah, I actually, that's what I talked to Lynsey about this morning. I just need to rest and
Mhm.
recover. And I mean, I might come and record a podcast. I
All
might,
you would have to do is
right,
text me and be like,
so
"We're
that,
recording a podcast
yeah,
today."
and
Yep,
I
do.
just, but I don't want to set anything up for failure. I don't want to say I'm gonna be able to be here for the next, 3 or 4 weeks and not. And I need to give myself that leeway that if
Mhm.
like, I wake up next week and I'm just like, you know what, girlfriend, you're feeling overwhelmed and you just like need to know you have nothing to do this week, not a thing, just survive.
Well,
Take care of
and
your
like,
kids.
I know that as much as I make it explicit to you that like, hey, this is us, we do this for us, it is stress-free. If it's stressful and not fun, then it's not, we're not doing
Yeah.
it for the right reasons. However, I know you always feel that sense of just accountability to me of like, that I love recording the podcast.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
both do, of
yeah.
course, but it's just like,
But
you know
we
that
hold each other accountable. That's
exactly.
what we do. Yeah.
So, but in this special time of life that you'll never get back, it's not a case of like, oh, you just need a break for a few weeks. It's like, you just had a baby.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was important for us to share this story while it was fresh,
Yeah.
but like, now for you to just go inside for a few weeks, you just heal everything that needs to be healed after that experience, and just love your son and
Yeah.
get to know each
So
other,
weird to
right?
say.
Your son.
I know.
But you gave me the freedom to record a couple on my own, and actually Mike D doesn't even know it yet, but he's coming on the podcast.
Rad dad.
Yeah.
Rad dad.
I had the
Mike D.
idea as I was driving over here. I was like, oh yes, I'm gonna record
That'd
an
be
episode
great.
with Mike and we'll just share our journey in business together and just something fun and candid
Yeah.
and different and off the cuff. And
No.
and hopefully, maybe there's a night over the next couple of weeks where you and Ty are feeling inspired. Just get up in here and record your
gosh.
story. So, but that's what this podcast is for us, is
Yeah.
a creative outlet to share, to inspire, to grow together. And I would never want it to feel stressful, ever.
No,
So,
and it's not that it does. I think I just know myself well enough now to know that if we had it on the books, I would commit and I would do
Absolutely you
it.
would,
Like there's
yeah.
no doubt in my mind. Even if I'm not fully in it, right? Like mentally, like if I'm struggling, I'll put on my big girl pants and come sit and like have the authentic conversation and do it, and still be happy that I am, but I just need to give myself the freedom for the next month or so, just to be like, the days are mine, the days are the kids, like whatever happens today is gonna happen, and I feel no pressure to do anything. I need to let myself have
But
it.
that's one of my favorite things about you is that you do the things that you say you're going to do. So I often really extend an extra, hey babe, it's okay if we need to move it to tomorrow, or like,
Totally.
are you sure? Because like, I really can be so flexible with you, and I just know that when you commit to something, you're committed to it. And so it's like, I love that about her, but
Yeah.
I also know that like, that's something that,
Can be a fault.
well, I just, especially right now, I don't want you to feel any obligation, any stress, any pressure. I
Yeah.
mean, a day like today, if Jet was puking all over you and you didn't sleep
He
all
did
night.
puke all over himself.
Exactly. You just don't want to do it today, like whatever. It's just, that's okay. It's totally okay.
Yeah.
I think that our journey in life together in the last short 3 years has been just wild and beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think it just keeps getting more loving and supportive.
It keeps getting
and
bigger.
bigger, our village is growing, and I'm just so grateful for every minute so far. So
Yeah, it was super beautiful. Yeah, and I'm like, I love that his birth story has you.
it's
I love that.
so special
So.
to me. I never thought it was an experience I would have. I thought when my sister,
You're just sorry, you're like, then you're the best cheerleader too, because I was watching the videos back and I'm like literally Jet's heads coming out and we're in the ring of fire. And if you know, you know, and you're like, yeah, babe, you got this. It's just like screaming from the back of the video. And I'm like, oh, I love you so much. I don't remember hearing it right in the moment, but I'm like, God, I love that.
oh, I had
so
to work
much.
hard,
Yeah.
so hard not to be like, fuck yeah. But every time
What would TJ do?
I did say that to you a couple times. What would TJ say? But every time you'd say, I can't, almost in unison, Tyler and I would be like, yes, you can. And like, I actually really felt like Ty and I were a great team that day.
Yeah.
And,
Well, you and Ty, like we've said so many times on the podcast, are very similar in your like optimism.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you
and
guys-
just
yeah.
general demeanor in the sense of like, we're both pretty chill. We both like to laugh and, but like everything about that experience was life-changing for me. I woke up the next day so tired, but so full of energy. I think I was on an adrenaline rush at that point. I always thought I would maybe have this experience with my sister.
Right, but
she had 2 C-sections and
yeah.
it was during the pandemic, so I couldn't even go to the hospital. But it just like everything felt right to me about just being there with you that day. I think the universe just called me to bring you chicken fingies because it knew like you just gotta go be with her and just be around and just hang out. And it wasn't like I did anything extraordinary. I was just there.
There's like the cutest photos of me just like sitting on the bed eating chicken fingers and like Lynsey just me and George just chatting.
But it was, you know, and the videos, like I came over 2 days later and I said to Justine, I was like, I have to airdrop these to you because like these feel like a liability on my phone.
Like a bomb on your phone, yeah.
Well, and I thought about it afterwards that I should have recorded on your phone, but Justine has like a 6-digit password that I can never remember. And like in the moment, it just felt easier to just do it on my phone.
Totally.
So, but yeah.
But your girls were going through your phone and you were like, oh,
they wanted to see a picture of Jet, so I'm showing it to them, but I'm like, you guys can't take my phone and swipe. And they're like, why? And I'm like, adult content.
Like literally, you'll never have kids.
Yeah.
Like, you will scar yourself.
I mean, at least we have those videos like, ooh, we should show them to the girls when they're like 16. Just, this is why you lock it up.
here's your sex talk.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
That's all you need to know.
You don't get pregnant and die, but this happens.
Right?
Yeah.
Look at this blue head right here.
Yeah. I don't, I think like I would show Aspen her birth video if she ever wanted to see it. But with Jet being a boy, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I would ever show him. And like too much information, listeners, but that's okay. When don't I ever overindulge here? But
shameless here.
But so I'm watching the video and they rolled me on my side for one of my contractions because I had an epidural, so I couldn't like, I wanted to be in all fours, but I guess I didn't know this until I was in the moment that when you have an epidural, you're supposed to lay flat like the whole time. So, but I was in so much pain. So they tried to roll me on my side and it was awful. It was the worst thing I've ever felt. But in this video, there's like shit all the way up my back. And I was like, okay. Like, why didn't someone wipe that? And it's just like all the way up my back. And I was like, cool. And that's when I like thought to myself, I'm like, whoa, like we're bonded on a whole new level of like
nothing could ever break that now. When I was sitting on the deck that night, I had so many just like quick 1-minute clips on my phone because like I said, I never knew which contraction was going to be the one. I didn't want to miss the moment. And so yeah, I was just kind of scrolling through quickly and I was like, I got to that one and I was like, I should delete this. And then I was like, no, Lynsey, that's not your place. These are not your videos. You do not decide what does or doesn't get deleted. I just left everything.
I just laugh at it now. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. But when I airdropped the videos, I went into my recently deleted all those, like just like
deleted the
hard delete.
iCloud delete.
Yeah. I mean, it's imprinted in my memory forever. So.
I can close my eyes and see it.
Exactly.
Yeah. She'll never look at me the same way again, but that's okay.
In the best way though.
Yeah,
I literally love you so much more than I ever even knew that it was
possible.
It's like our friendship had a whole rebirth. Like
our friendship was birth. Yeah, no, it was it was really special. And like I said, so unexpected, so unplanned, but I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. Looking back on it. So
Yeah, it was incredible, and I'm so grateful that we took the time today to share this while it's fresh. You know, I know the next few weeks are gonna be dedicated to just like healing and sleeping and adjusting to the new normal, but I don't know that it would ever kind of come out the same way if we waited too long to share this. And now, like, selfishly, this was mostly just for us, so that like 10 years from now, we can watch this episode back and be like, wow, that was so cool.
Look how young we look.
Yeah, exactly. Look at how nice that natural
Yeah.
light is.
Yeah, take us back.
Yeah.
No, I'm so grateful for all of it, and I'm grateful for the podcast and the place to vent and be, and yeah, I'm excited to take a few weeks off, but be back.
Whenever you want.
Yeah.
Like, literally, you just say it's go time and
Yeah.
I'll start the car.
I'll
So,
take the car. But yeah, no, yeah, we're good. We're doing great. You might see me at like Safeway. That's it.
yeah.
Picking up
In the
groceries.
parking lot, not
Yeah,
in
you
the
don't go
Safeway.
in. Yeah, they bring them out to me, which sounds awful.
I mean, if you didn't, that's totally okay, but did you bring a quote today?
I did.
You did?
Yeah,
Look at
so,
you, how on the ball she is.
So this, I've read a few poems from this girl, Jessica Ehrlich.
Ehrlich?
Yeah, I think that's how you'd say it. But she's on TikTok and I've seen a few of them. And so I just went on Amazon and bought her book of poems
nice.
because she writes some wicked poems all about motherhood. All are gonna make you cry. But just sometimes when you're really in the thick of it, to like read that someone else felt that way is just helpful. So I went through her book this morning and found a poem called Days of a Newborn, which I thought was fitting because that's where I'm at. Okay. The sunlight threatens to pour in, but the curtains are drawn at strange times. Beds unmade, hair tied up permanently, which becomes matted eventually. Clothes on day 3 you don't even put away anymore. There are pillows everywhere, things everywhere, like a tiny hoarder has come to stay. The TV is on at 2 a.m., reruns of a series while you learn about each other, how to feed, your limits, your love. You're likely to forget so many of these precious details. Lost in the fog, found later when you realize they are a newborn no longer. Their clothes are bigger, diapers a size up, a few maybe, and a little scrunch of them is fading. You'll grieve for the tiny fingernails, the eyes that try to focus on you, the flailing arms, the little noises they make as they soften into you, their perfect little head that fits in the crook of your arm, how their scent is your skin's perfume. This exhausting intimacy. Yes, beautiful things can make you cry. How can you grieve the passing by even if you don't want another baby? And the last first smile, you'll marvel at how it changes and stays the same. If only there is a way to visit every little version, a mosaic of mirrors at any one time. One you can look at and see all of them, and all the different yous would stare back to.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so
Such an accurate depiction of days with a newborn.
I highly suggest her book. It has some pretty amazing poems that just,
I love poetry.
yeah.
I gotta get back into reading poetry. How romantic. Like,
Yeah.
hey, Mike, you wanna just sit on the deck and read
Ooh.
poetry tonight?
Sounds like sexy time.
I mean,
maybe that sounds what it would
Yeah,
turn into.
he'd probably rather read like song lyrics and like sing at the top of our lungs, but I mean.
Yeah, Tyler would come out and rap.
Right.
Yeah, little Windex.
Lay down a sick flow for us. I love when Tyler
Yeah.
raps. But
Yeah, he does. Do you know, you don't have Snapchat, do you?
no.
Yeah, so Ty does snap raps.
Oh, right, you've mentioned snap raps, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're on Snapchat, you should find my husband, and he does like a Sunday snap rap sometimes, and
I should maybe get Snapchat. just
they're
for
pretty
Snapchat.
funny sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, sometimes I'm like, is that about me? I hope not. But yeah, no, it's all good. But yeah.
Any final thoughts you want to share before we close out this
No,
episode?
thanks for coming along the pregnancy journey with me. If you followed this long, I guess we're at like 42 weeks, 43 weeks, 42 and a half weeks, that you were with me on the journey of pregnancy. So thank you. And yeah, I'll be back soon.
As always, listeners, we appreciate the love, the support. We're so grateful that you've been here with us this long. And even though Justine's taken a quick little break, just stay tuned. We've got so much more coming, so.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know
I'll be
what that
back.
is just yet, but that's okay. We're just winging it as always, so have a great day, listener.
Yeah.